because you need to push the button. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. We're about to begin the memorial service for Kelly Scott Duke. But before we do, to help us stay focused together at this important and meaningful time, I ask that you please check to confirm that your cell phone is off or on silent. Appreciate it very much. So welcome, family and friends. We are here together this afternoon to remember and honor the life of Kelly Scott Duke, a loving, giving, devoted man who on April 29th tragically left us far too soon at the young age of 53. Kelly was loved by his family that include his wife Lara, his sons Noah and Spencer, his mom Carol Ann Duke, and brothers Robert Duke, Stephen Duke, and Marty Duke. Kelly is predeceased by his dad, Paul Duke. We'll just turn the music off. I am Wendy Yakboski. It is my privilege to preside over this time of remembering and honoring the life of Kelly as we come together in great sadness and shock. It goes without saying that all present for this time together are grieving the loss of this wonderful person who was in our lives. He was a truly amazing and good man. Having said this, I also know that his family doesn't want this time together to be totally downhearted. You are invited to feel free to smile, giggle, laugh, or sigh, whatever is up for you in any given moment. It's also true that there is no sense or logic that can be made from this tragic circumstance. We can only look now to how we can carry forward the spirit, love, and energy that Kelly brought to each of us, his world, and to move through our grief with an intention and a surrendering to heal and to open to new life where it may appear to be stripped of its nutrients. I offer you my heartfelt support, embracing and welcoming each one of you here in person or watching over the live stream of this service. This is not only a time to remember and honor Kelly, but to support the family and each other as we feel all kinds of feelings through this time together. And now to begin, we have a beautiful song, that of the Canadian singer Katie Lang, singing Alleluia. So together, let's listen to this piece that Kelly introduced to Lara early in their relationship. special symbolic candle lighting ceremony will now take place, performed by Kelly's sons Noah and Spencer and his wife Laura. So as you're ready, if you could come forward, please. This candle lighting is symbolic, and I'll share this symbolism with you now. So it is not only, of course, symbolic of the love of his family for him and him for them, but there's also a spiritual symbolism, and that is that the flame of the candle represents the eternal flame of life, signifying the continuity of life beyond our physical existence, according to our belief. The wick of the candle embodies Kelly's connection within that eternal flame of life and is positioned at the heart and symbolizes his lasting presence in our hearts. And the light of the flame symbolizes the light that Kelly brought into the world, into the lives of those around him during his time with us. And it is a light that will continue to radiate forever. And it's now my honor to share with you some aspects about Kelly that I have learned about who he was, what mattered to him, and the impact that he had on others, with others to follow that will share their own with us shortly. As I mentioned, all here are grieving the loss of Kelly. He was a loyal and devoted man in every area of his life, along with being outgoing, social, compassionate, positive, empowering, and hardworking in everything he undertook. He also knew how to relax and have fun, with both a laid-back side and a rigid side, both of which I trust many, if not all of you, have witnessed over the time that you've known Kelly. He was always looking to challenge himself and learn in every way he could, whether it was physically, with new exercises for his fitness level, or listening to various podcasts to learn new information and new ways of looking at and considering how he wanted to show up in the world. He worked tirelessly, ever devoted to do whatever he did, whether it was coaching soccer, doing handyman activities for their home life, or whatever it happened to be. And when he needed help with any of this, he asked for it. Kelly lived his life passionately, with a never-give-up attitude throughout it. And through it all, he had a great sense of humor. In fact, a wicked sense of humor, I understand. Now, fitness and health were a high value of Kelly's, and you may or may not know that Kelly for many years managed living with type 1 diabetes. His fitness focus was as much about the health of stress management and diabetes control as it was about strength and mobility and his personal belief and value that he held and acted on. He built a home gym in which he worked out regularly. Kelly built on his kinesiology background with a master's in industrial engineering before he began working for Fraser Health Authority as a director in charge of a team of employees, a team who absolutely loved him. And we'll hear from his boss a little later. But suffice it to say, Kelly knew how to get the best out of people. It was a natural attribute for him, as he knew how to get the best out of himself. Everyone who knows Kelly will not be surprised to hear that he loved soccer. This sport was important to him in a variety of ways. The athletic and fitness aspects, the social aspect, and the aspect of giving to others, which he did in his sports interests and as well as his family and friends. When he was younger, skiing was an activity he loved, in which I understand he became a very good skier over the years. A daredevil skier, always looking for really good jumps and any possible new terrain to attempt. And on the flip side of being a daredevil, this last year he very much enjoyed playing team pickleball with Lara and their friends. But I suppose there are jumps and patterns for competition in pickleball too. But back to soccer for just a bit, and sports more specifically. Kelly did love to win, but it wasn't the ultimate deciding factor as to a good game. He was both competitive and loving at the same time. When there wasn't a win to celebrate, if he and everyone had done their best, playing a good game, this was the final mindset that he chose. And we will hear more about his soccer legacy from Mike. Actually, it's Noah Spencer and Lara. And Mike. Yes, that's right. It was a big thing. Kelly was always active. It was hard for him to stay still. Being adventurous was natural to him. As well as all the sports he did, he boogie boarded and surfed on family holidays. But at home, Kelly was an as-needed handyman, making some wonderful additions to their homes, such as a playhouse for the boys, landscaping, a shed, and a great back deck, to name just a few things. Kelly also had a very thoughtful, reflective side to him, which fed how he viewed and lived his life, always doing so for the purpose of him getting better, improving his skills, and inadvertently, his life experiences. Now, Kelly, like all, or so many of us, had his ups and downs throughout life. But something very important to Kelly in being a father and a dad was in recreating an idyllic environment and life experience that he had come to know in his own childhood. As a father, Kelly was always diligent in his involvement with his boys, teaching them what was appropriate for a good life, including appropriate risk management and risk assessment in the choices that they were making. He taught them to have a good head on their shoulders and to use it. Kelly deeply loved his children and his family, whom he was most proud of in his life, with a beloved spot in his heart for his Grandpa Harold, Grandma Helen, and his Mom Carol. As parents, Kelly and Lara worked as a team in supporting their children to mature, and it's a fine work that they've done. Together, they learned the art and science of parenting well. So as I wrap up what I've learned about who Kelly was, I have these remaining thoughts that whatever Kelly was doing that presented a challenge to him, he knew it was solvable. The legacies Kelly left his boys, to name again but a few, were his drive for excitement and knowing what to get into and not to get into, as well his teaching and example as how to not get demotivated in sports and how to not let others influence them negatively. And Kelly also leaves the legacy of his ongoing willingness to be challenged and to become better. missed most about Kelly are his supportiveness, his encouragement, and his advice. Truly everything about Kelly, his very presence, is being missed. As his father and mother-in-law shared with me, Kelly was a keeper. And now, as I promised, to begin the sharing of prepared family and friend speakers to remember and honor him, I will begin with calling forward Kelly's eldest brother, Robert Duke.
So many memories have come to my mind over the past week and a half. But the one that kept putting a smile on my face was Kelly and my brother Steve were both on the Nancy Green ski team, Fortress Mountain in Alberta. That was kind of the beginning of our family adventure skiing. So every weekend we'd be out skiing. It moved on from being Nancy Green ski team to all of us, especially Steve, Kelly, and I. Daredevil things, but also Kelly practicing his 360s on mobiles, as you know, not only as Daredevil as a show. We always look for the hardest runs to take going down Fortress and Lake Louise. We especially enjoyed going underneath the chairlift and hearing people like chair moving as we did crazy maneuvers. That graduated into powder skiing and it got into college. That's a memory that it speaks to our family. I think when our family was the happiest, the most together. Those weekends together, all of us, all 6 of us, was amazing. Over the course of the number of years, I lived abroad. Kelly started a family. We didn't get a chance to speak as much as I really would have liked to. We had different priorities and different focuses. It was interesting though, over the past year and a half or so, Kelly had started taking a lot more trips with his family, and especially one trip he took to New Orleans last year. He came back and I picked up and say, hey, how's the trip? He went on for half an hour. He didn't stop. I couldn't get a word in edgewise. I hadn't seen that kind of enthusiasm and excitement out of him that he'd shared with me for quite a while. And the family had been taking more trips over the past year. You know, they'd just been down to Cerritos, and he was talking about surfing, and he was talking about all the exciting things he had done. And it seemed like the vitality. Are we good? Okay. Are we done? No. It seemed like there was a sense of vitality and enthusiasm that he was experiencing that he actually wanted to share more so in an outwardly way. And I really felt that there was an opportunity to start picking up a connection with him. And well, we were connecting more so, but so be it, as we are here today. Godspeed, Kelly. Godspeed.
Just have to speak in there.
I think I'm done. I just said Godspeed, Kelly, my brother. Godspeed.
Thank you so much, Robert. And now his boss and friend will share about Kelly with us. Kathy Massey, would you come forward, please?
to share a few words in remembrance of Kelly on behalf of myself, our facilities management team, and the broader Fraser Health family who were lucky to have worked with him. Thank you, Laura, Noah, and Spencer. My name is Kathy Massey, and I've had the pleasure of working with Kelly for the past 12 years as part of the Fraser Health team, where for the last couple of years, he was one of my directors. As part of the preparation for this service, Laura asked me for Kelly's exact title for the obituary. And I said, well, I think he is Director Facilities Planning, or maybe it's Planning and Projects, but I said, let me check, knowing in the back of my mind that Kelly never thought his title accurately reflected what he did. Sure enough, I came back to her and I said, well, Kelly signs his title as Director, Capital Projects and Facilities Planning. He made it up. And she, sounds like Kelly. We had a good chuckle. An industrial engineer by training, Kelly joined the newly formed Fraser Health in 2002 and was one of the first hires of the workplace health team as an ergonomist. He came highly recommended by one of their current team members who was a former classmate, and he immediately became one of their most respected colleagues. Kelly had high standards for his work and was known for his dry sense of humor and willingness to contribute to any discussion. He spent 5 years with that team and built relationships that stayed throughout his career. Within Kelly's subsequent roles, he continued his advocacy for safe and healthy workplaces, and staff will be working in safer environments for decades due to Kelly's work. It will have a lasting and positive impact on the delivery of health care within Fraser. The following couple of years, Kelly worked as an operations engineer for Fraser, creating data analytics reports, assembling and analyzing data for care planning, patient flow, decision-making, and evaluating the impacts of operational improvements. As Kelly said, continuous improvement is a core principle of who I am and how I work. That core principle was a key to his success as he moved in 2009 to join the Lower Mainland Facilities team as a facilities senior clinical planner. I've heard from folks in the last number of days across the Lower Mainland who have been saddened by Kelly's passing and who remember him fondly. If it wasn't through work, it was through soccer. Words used to describe Kelly: a friend, confidant, mentor. He had a calm presence. He was approachable, thoughtful, direct, confident, kind, generous with his time and thoughts, and giving of his experience and knowledge. Kelly continued to move through leadership positions within the portfolio, including spending a few years as a manager, where he oversaw the design and construction phases of capital projects. This additional experience made him a unique leader. As Director of Facilities Planning, Kelly has led our team with integrity, authenticity, and passion. It was genuinely important to him that we take the time to recognize our hard work and efforts, and he was eager to celebrate our wins and successes, whether they were big or small. He cared tremendously and was always there for his team. It was also important to Kelly that we welcome our new team members. As one member described, I met many people in those first few weeks, but remember Kelly. He took the time to talk with me and introduce me to his colleagues. Over the years, I have worked on many projects with Kelly. He allowed everyone to have a voice, but kept us on task. Sometimes it can seem like you were a small boat on a very large ocean. Kelly was the rudder, kept us on course from start to finish. And whether you may or may not know, Kelly was all about the metaphors to help explain a concept or situation. As one team member recounted, he took his role as leader seriously and was ready to be our general, march to the front lines to defend us to senior leadership. He was ready to jump in and protect what we were building, as he believed that what we did was making a difference for the better. It was also a true indication of the person he was to us, a caring, supportive, a true leader. He was also all about the team, and as much as he was serious about business, he was able to put work aside if what was needed was to vent and have an ear, and make sure all knew he appreciated what we did. He respected each member of his team as an equal, regardless of role or hierarchy. He believed in what we all brought to the table and took time to hear our thoughts and opinions before working on next steps forward, and was always there to lead and advise when needed. For those who got the honor to know Kelly, they found that life balance, family, and finding joy in the day-to-day was what was most important to him. He worked and took it seriously, but he did that during the weekdays so he could go home and enjoy life with his family and friends. He wanted to make sure his team knew that was how he felt, so that we too did the same, as it was what he valued most. Our planning team is close because Kelly knew how important relationships were outside of the work environment. Social gatherings were important. Kelly was our games master. As one team member remembered, Kelly kindly organized a virtual Christmas party on Zoom for the clinical and equipment planning teams during the gloomy time of COVID. He showed up with a bottle of beer in his hand and a funny hat to cheer people up on the call and break the ice. He made the evening very enjoyable by introducing a fun game to play. He encouraged everyone to get engaged with the moment, put their worries aside for at least a few hours, and embrace the holidays spirit. Kelly was also into technology, always wanting to have the next best headset, hoping to drown out the surrounding noise at Central City. First there was the Apple headset, then the bone conduction headset, then the earphones, and finally the $350 headset that actually drowned out his colleagues. And Kelly was all about the wardrobe. If Jason was going to be in the office, Kelly wore a suit jacket. And yet, we will all miss his 80s black shirt with the red flames that he pulled out of the closet for our social occasions. Music was another important part of Kelly's life. That extended to the workplace. Every so often, he'd have a tune playing as a backdrop to a team meeting. I remember recently Joe and I welcoming a team member back to the fold as he entered the door at Central City. Kelly had queued up, "Welcome back to that same old place that we laughed about," as his welcoming tune, and we sang along. And at any of the gatherings I hosted for the team, you may remember, Kelly was the first to point out if my playlist was stuck or not appropriate. Kelly also had a good sense of humor. As one team member describes, he was serious because his role required him to be that way, but he was truly a loving and caring human. That, first and foremost, was always there for you when you needed it. He was compassionate yet pragmatic and a gentle spirit. His reassuring and calm presence made me feel safe around him. He had a poker face when expressing a dry humor, with his witty eyes inviting you to laugh while he watched your reaction. And as another team member described, he was my first mentor. And when I first started, he seemed serious, but one day he was away from his desk and his personal phone rang really loud. And his ringtone was "At the Casbah" by The Clash. It was a funny moment, and I knew then that we'd get along. He was a fan of 80s music with a good sense of humor. The other thing I associate with him is that comic in the office. So we had a comic sitting up, and it had Batman slapping Robin. "No, slap! That's not in the business plan." That's what comes to mind when I think about Kelly. His humor, his ability to relate to people and explain things in simple terms. And when it was time to work, it was time to work. And when it was time to have fun, he was the life of the party. We used to laugh about the Kellyisms. Here is my recommendation. Processes don't get me started. My story is, Kelly wanted to make a difference, and he did. Not just because of what he created day to day, but because of who he was. Always there for you when you needed him. Kelly, I'm here, wishing our journey could have been longer, but thanking you for making me a better person just by having you in my life. I will miss you for the person you were and all that you taught and brought to me as a person and as a leader as we built our team. And as Kelly would tell the other attendees at any meeting we were in together, especially if there was a fellow engineer present, What she's really trying to say is, we will miss him as a colleague and as a friend.
Thank you so much, Kathy. What beautiful sharing and about who Kelly was at work as well. And so now we have a very good friend of Kelly's, Waqar Mogul, to share with us. Waqar?
Practiced honest. The things that I get to remember about Kelly. I remember meeting him. I remember getting to know him at university in the early 90s. I remember him being somebody who always wanted to be a part of whatever was going on, and wanting to be a part of the group. And he really came out being social. The Kelly that I remember was always very social. He always wanted to be a part of the student work. He also wanted to be social outside of school. I remember going out, I remember staying in, I remember the dinners that we did, I remember him jumping on any cockamamie idea that we had, like, let's jump into a volleyball tournament. Great, when is it? 20 minutes. And we won the tournament. We were playing against engineers in comp sci, so it wasn't really that unexpected. But we also, the other thing that I remember about Kelly is he always wanted to help out, and it was such a part of who he was. He brought it out in us as well. So like all of the moving that we did as students where we couldn't afford movers, packing things up in boxes or in bags because we couldn't afford boxes. All of the renovations, I remember being on top of his roof in the middle of the summer. He just said, come over, we got stuff to do. He didn't say, let's re-roof our house. So the other things that I remember about him, so 90s, I met him in the 90s in BC. We started enjoying all the new beer that was coming out because you're in university. What do you do when you have fun? You go out and have beer. So all of the craft beer that came out, that was a thing. It still was up until last times we saw each other, trying new beer that's out there. He made me taste a sour. He was he was that convincing. I tried a sour beer for the first time. He also, the other thing that I remember is his VW bus. Okay, hands up anybody who remembers his, yeah, okay. So that, I mean, who could possibly forget a vehicle that always had a tool bag between the front two seats and was only heated by the propane stove in the back? He also taught me the word fat-assing, and if anybody wants to know about that later, you can tell me. It has to do with the bus, so just being clear about that. The other thing, 80s music. 80s music, loved 80s music. I didn't hold it against him, but I do want to say that is one of those things. His 40th birthday, I flew back from Calgary. I'd moved, flew back, and I re-pierced my ears for him. So that's what real friends do. He loved music. He loved going out. He loved just getting out and being social. And one of my more recent memories of him was how excited he was about his trip that he took to New Orleans. And I hadn't seen him that animated in forever. I thought he was going to pull out a trombone from his pocket. It was really funny because we talked, actually, yeah, Kevin, does he have any toad? We never never found out if he had any toad. The music thing was really interesting more recently in the late 2000s. We did Dave Matthews Band was a thing that I had started listening to on my own because I really enjoyed the music. For some reason, he started listening to it too. And then in 2017, I heard about the Gorge. He came with us, Kim and I, for our very first trip. We went for one night. It was incredible. He was top of the world. COVID happened, but then we went back later. We went then for the full 3 weekends. It was incredible. He was great, and he is very particular about when things are supposed to happen. And because I hadn't traveled with him very much before, we were going to work that out at our next one this summer. We're going to bring a cutout out of him, take him with us. It'll be fun because that's what I remember. There's actually one other story I do want to tell because, I mean, I have a few friends. One of them's online, one of them is here. And where is he? There he is. Yeah. And 3 of us really enjoy Scotch. And I know Kelly enjoyed tequila. And so the 3 of us were planning a trip to Scotland. And we also enjoy golf. So we've done a lot of golfing. We needed a 4th. So I called up Kelly, see if he's even remotely interested. So when are you going? In the fall. Where are you going? Scotland. What are you going to do there? Taste Scotch, go golfing. And he says, well, I don't like Scotch, and I don't golf. Yeah, I'm in. So I thought, great, we got a driver. I did for a hot minute. It was really, so that was the really fun part. But then we get there. It was a really great. Well, actually, it was also funny because, like, as much as we were all coordinated, we all flew in at different times. We're coming from different parts of the country. I don't know if he ever told you this, Laura, but it was kind of funny. Dan and I arrived like at 6 a.m. Ken arrived at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then Kelly arrived at about 8. And apparently, he had no idea that we were there the entire day waiting for him. So we need tighter planning, and so that was part of the thing that we were going to be improving upon. But we get there, and so we drive around, we get to our first place. First place, we were going to go for a tasting, and information got mixed up. We weren't able to do a tasting that we had planned. We planned for months on this, and so really sad, didn't get to that first tasting, so we started walking around the town. Old towns, the town's really old in Scotland. And we happen upon a Scotch whiskey bar, and I know what you're thinking. What is a Scotch bar doing in Scotland? So we investigated. So we figured we'd try to find out. So we go in, and this is really old-ish place, and the bar was probably as long as this wall, covered with bottles. And the 3 of us stepped back, and we pushed Kelly forward to the bar, and the bartender says, what would you like to taste? And he said, I don't drink Scotch. So he proceeded, the bartender was really good at this because obviously this is not his first rodeo. He said, tell me what you like to drink, tell me what you don't like. And as Kelly was talking, he was going around picking things and he was putting them in front of him, and he eventually poured the 4. And he had his little tray, went away, and he did that with the 3 of us as well, which was actually really fantastic. And we all went, we were in this big room, long tables, families here and there. There was a newborn there, I don't even know why, but we found a back room that wasn't open yet, and it was dark. The guy had just lit the fire in the wood stove. It was raining out. There was one window, all the light was coming in. Nobody else was in the room. All of this dark wood, all of this leather, all of the wood, the stone on the wall. We sat down, really quiet. And we started tasting, and the 4 of us were talking, and we each got to taste all of our things, and we were really just trying to figure out what we liked. And Kelly stopped. There was this moment, and he said, holy crap, this stuff is good. Why didn't you tell me about it before? So the rest of the time, he really enjoyed it, and it was actually, for me, it was quite the relief, honestly, because it would have been kind of a bummer if he started saying this. But anyway, so he really liked it. We really got to try a whole bunch of different things. And I think that was, for me, that kind of illustrates who Kelly is. He's willing to try almost anything. He's willing to do different things. And, he also played golf. The jerk, he was a really good golfer, which really irritated the three of us. So that was a problem. It was a good problem to have. But I will say also he's very creative. The 80s thing, right? He likes 80s music. So we're taking photos of us in front of the distilleries and photos of the distilleries. And he says, hey guys, I got this great idea. Look at how old these buildings are. You know what we should do? We should take photos like we're taking photos for an album cover from the 80s. So hopefully, if you come to the later event, hopefully we have pictures of the four of us posing like we are a disassociative band from the late 80s, and some of them are really funny. So it was a trip to absolutely remember. We began talking about all of the other things that we were planning on doing. I was trying to figure out how to get him to actually go on a golf trip with us, and making him go on a scotch tasting trip, so why not golf? But I think I have lots of stories. I have lots of memories. And there's so many more coming back after seeing so many of these faces. It's amazing. And I think Kelly would be really happy to see all of you, because this is the kind of space he loved being in. I'm remembering Kelly Duke as an amazing friend, an amazing person, great coworker, and a brother.
Thank you, Waqar. Thank you for the joy and levity and fun, great memories. And now we have a soccer colleague and friend, Mike Barnard. If you could come forward, please.
Wow. I too did practice, and it won't be evident when I from this. But anyways, my name's Mike, and this is Chris. We both played soccer with Kelly. I played here in New West, and Chris also in New West, but also with his original team with the Surrey Dynamo. I'm just going to say a few words about Kelly and what he meant to New West soccer and really the broader community here. I got to know Kelly by way of the Friday night coaches scrimmage. At least I'm pretty sure I must have, because I can't think of when we really intersected. But anyways, we were both coaches, and our club put together a weekly scrimmage for the coaches, and we would come out and we do our little friendly kickabout, and over time, you see the same people and get to know each other. And it seems like a long time ago, but I remember Kelly back then as approachable, right? Easy to talk to. Better? Am I too loud? Yeah, just so approachable, so easy to talk to. And once the running around was all done, we'd have our post-game beverages and banter, and clearly he loved that part. Fast forward several years of that, and somebody, and it may very well have been Kelly, said, hey, who's interested in putting an actual team together? And I guess, we had either had enough of those beverages, enough hands went up, and a bunch of us thought that we could pull it off. So then, that's when Kelly, kind of activated and did what, he was so good at, right? He got organizing. He was in the background, just with that quiet determination and persistence of his to make this happen. And, he really let other people kind of do the hype, right? Like, talk about it and get people excited. And he just just made it happen. So it wasn't until much later that I'd really come to appreciate that this was, a real passion project for Kelly to bring this team forward. Is that better? Okay. And what I came to understand is that he was really interested, having played with the folks out in Surrey and with the Dynamo. He wanted to bring that experience kind of closer to home and kind of recreate that and share that in the local community here. I think that, as has been said, that was what he loved, was the socializing, the camaraderie, and then ultimately, the friendships that were born out of that. So almost 10 years ago now, the men's, quote unquote Masters team was launched, and we're officially called the Rovers. Not that we use that name too much, but quite predictably, the first couple of seasons we were quite terrible. And it could be argued that a lot, that hasn't really changed too much, but I think that whether we kind of recognized it or not at the time, we really did create something, I think, unique and special. I mean, the team was largely comprised of youth soccer coaches, volunteers at the time, a real wide range of experiences, some skilled players, some not so skilled players. But ultimately we were, neighbors, acquaintances, and friends, from this really, wonderful community of ours. So Kelly was the driving force. Kelly made that happen, and I'm so thankful. He, of course, volunteered much of his time and energy and passion to New West Soccer. He was a youth coach, he was a divisional coordinator, and he was the manager of our over 45 and over 40 teams. And he balanced these jobs and so many other activities for the betterment of the club and the community. He was ever reliable. He really took little or no credit for victories on or off the field, and he handled setbacks and challenges with humility and grace. So I had the very good fortune to get to know Kelly off the pitch as well. We played board games together with our families. We played pickleball with our wives. And we took in live music together, which I came to appreciate was another one of Kelly's passions. So I'll just kind of end by saying this. I'm so sad to have lost Kelly, but thinking about him has just filled me with gratitude that I got to know him in the first place. Thank you.
So I'm going to read a message sent to me from Ed Funk, who was one of the founders of the Dynamo. Words about my friend Kelly. Well, what the heck do you say at a time like this? Like many of you, I'm trying to wrap my head around unknown circumstances, a shocking loss, and a feeling of great sadness for those who are left behind. I remember the very first time I met Kelly. He came out to Frankhurt Elementary School in Surrey to try out for the Surrey Dynamo. I laugh when I say try out because tryouts for the Dynamo weren't so much about ability, but more about character. You didn't have to be great to play with our team, but you had to fit in. Kelly showed up at the same time that Matt Cleary and Chris Boulding did, and we knew within that 1.5 hour practice that we found new Dynamo. Initially, to look at Kelly physically, you would not have thought that he would have been able to make it. He was small in stature, but extremely large in heart. Of course, at the end of the first practice, when he was changing shirts, it was also not hard to notice he was just one big muscle. The guy was in better shape than any of us on the team. He was fast, he was feisty, and he had a competitive strength in him that helped influence the rest of the team for years to come. Kelly was a great Dynamo. Sitting around afterwards, having a few beers that we often did, we learned more about character. He worked in healthcare. He had a family, Laura, Noah, and Spencer. Oh yeah, and a dog. I think the name was Barley. He did enjoy beer, but not the usual slop I brought to practice, Budweiser. Although he did drink it, he enjoyed IPA. I just figured out why he named the dog Barley. He just seemed a little classier than us. Lots of laughs. I miss those days. I miss our team talks. And as we all sat around getting to know each other, you couldn't help but notice his smile and his laughter. He just had that persona that made you feel warm, welcome, comfortable. As time went on and Kelly became more and more of a friend, I was one of the lucky dynamo that he led into his life further. On occasion, I was lucky enough to be invited over for dinner or a barbecue with his family at their house in New West. And all of you here will know there was a period in my life when things weren't going so well, and Kelly stepped up and helped me. He did this in a way that allowed me to keep my dignity and self-worth. He allowed me to work around his house. I remember digging drainage tile into his backyard for days as the backyard used to fill with water on rainy days. I remember taping, mudding, and sanding an unfinished room downstairs in the basement of their house. Kelly did this in a way that allowed me to keep my pride and never look down on my situation, but tried to lift me up with support and friendship. Kelly also made me feel that my friendship meant the world to him. I remember meeting him for a beer in Saperton one night. Nothing special, just a quick pint between friends. We clanked our bottles together and he told me, "Ed, you're a great guy. I'm so glad we met." To friends. It was mutual and he knew that. I'll never forget Kelly's 40th birthday party, 80s style woot woot. Laura had thrown Kelly a birthday party and Kelly's reaction was genuine shock and awe. He had no idea he would be walking into a house full dressed up, big hair, neon dress, 80s wearing chaos. Man, I'm going to miss this man. I'd like to think that I hadn't moved away from the Lower Mainland in 2012, that Kelly and I would have become even better friends. Times like these make it even harder to accept this loss. To my soccer buddies in attendance and watching the stream like I am, my heart goes out to all of you. Damn, I wish I could be there to share in this grieving process together. I promise you that tonight I will raise a drink to our teammate, our friend, our brother. I love you all. Everybody, please remember, you have avenues to deal with situations. In late November of 2023, Canada implemented a mental health emergency number as important as 911. If you need to talk with someone and cannot reach out to a family member or a friend, call 988. There are professionals that can help. I apologize for writing a speech that is all over the place. I'm just at a loss. Newt, thank you so much for offering to do this for me. In closing, I'd like to say to Laura, Noah, and Spencer, my heart is so heavy for you today. Grief is like waves. It will recede and leave us with feelings of serenity and a belief in moving forward, only to wash back in with all its crushing hopelessness and sorrow. Back and forth it will go, but with each retreating drift of despair, we are left a little less sad, a little less hopeless, and a little stronger for having to have faced it. Take the best of memories and happiest thoughts to help console your grief. Kelly, rest easy, my friend. You came into our lives and left an unmistakable impression on our hearts. Until we meet again.
Thank you so much, Mike and Chris and Ed. Some wonderful sharing there. And now the family, the immediate family is going to share. And we will begin with Kelly's youngest son, Spencer.
Hi everyone. Just want to start my speech by saying how great of a man my father was. My dad was so caring, kind, funny, and he loved everyone. He had a strong passion for soccer and loved being outdoors. As well, my dad constantly wanted the best for me and my brother. He would always push me and Noah to do things outside of our comfort zones so we would succeed. My dad was special. He's one of a kind, and he's never going to be replaced in this world. He'll be deeply missed by all of us. But I know that he's up in heaven, and he's watching over us. And while I miss my dad, and I forever will, I stand up here and think back to all the good memories we had together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Spencer. Beautifully said. Very courageous. And now, Kelly's oldest son, Noah.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I want to thank you all for being here. As most of you know, I'm Kelly's son, Noah. I knew I had to speak at this service, or I would certainly regret it later on had I not. I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to say, so I would just like to tell you all what kind of father Kelly was, and share some memories, as that is what I feel most qualified to talk about. When I was very young, most of my memories of him consist of games that we played. There was a game he called Monkey Boy, a game our friends the O'Quinns know all about. He would chase us around for catching us and swinging us around, yelling. It was really fun. Similarly, there was a game called Blow Up Monster that I'm sure our friends the Peregrine family know all about, where us kids would go take all of our blankets and go hide around the house, and the dads would come find us, and then we'd all run away screaming and laughing. I also think about how he influenced some of my interests. For those of you who do not know, I have a mildly unhealthy obsession with movies. Like, I watch a lot. To give you an idea of my movie-oriented mindset, when we were talking about having the song Hallelujah play, my mind instantly went to, oh, that song from the first Shrek movie. Anyway, I think he may have started my love for movies. One of my very first vivid memories in life was when he took me to see Toy Story 3 at the theater with some friends. He also was always giving me older movie recommendations to watch, convincing me to finally watch movie classics that I love now, such as The Terminator and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He was also the only one in my family who was not always asking questions while we watched movies, which is Anyway, I'm just talking about myself and how he affected me. One thing he did for me, as well as many of my other friends, was coach soccer for over 7 years. Some of my teammates are even here today, and I'm very thankful they came. He was a really great coach, and I know many of my friends often thanked him for coaching. But looking back now, I'm not sure I ever did or if I ever really told him how much I appreciated he coached. So I'll tell you all. It truly meant the world to me that he coached. Even though I was an ass at times, and probably one of the worst behaved players on the team, he never stopped coaching, and I only recently found out he even took lessons on how to coach us even better. And I'm so thankful he did all of that for all those years. My favorite soccer memory was back in 2020 when my team won the championship, just a few weeks before the lockdown. I would also like to discuss the values he instilled on me and my brother Spencer. Like a good father should, he taught us to be compassionate, kind, respectful, hardworking, and most importantly, shop at Costco because of the return policy. An important thing he always did for us was encourage us to take risks and go off on grand adventures so we could live life to the fullest. But at the same time, he always ensured that we were prepared and able to handle all that would come on such endeavors. Whether that was doing something big, like constantly calling me these past few months to help me set up this house that I'm living in next year at university, or whether it was something smaller, like teaching me how to safely cliff jump at Lynn Canyon up in North Vancouver. He also always encouraged me and my brother to be social. He really was not a fan of calling other parents and setting up play dates. He would often go kind of old man and complain about how when he was a kid, you could just bike over to your friend's house and do something on a whim just like that. But as we got older, me and my brother, he always encouraged us to make plans with friends. I'd been kind of lonely, and in early 2020, he convinced me to call up some soccer friends and have a big hangout with them. I did it, and the time I spent with my soccer friends was incredibly fun. And I'm so grateful he pushed me to do that. Of course, a month later, COVID had to hit. As COVID died down, I still kind of struggled hanging out with people, and I felt a little bit lonely and overall kind of unhappy. But finally, at the end of grade 11, I took his advice to heart and started making plans and spending time with friends as much as I could. 2 years later now, and in large part to my dad's encouragement, I'm constantly making plans with friends from high school, a summer camp job that I worked at, and most recently, university. I'm the most socially healthy I've ever been, thanks to him. Anyway, these were the values that he passed on to me and my brother, and I'm eternally grateful. I personally know I will have kids of my own one day, and to honor the love, the memories, and the values of my dad, I will do everything I can to create amazing memories with them and guide them the very same way he did me. Thank you, Dad, and thank you everybody for coming today.
Thank you so much, Noah. Very well said. And now, Kelly's wife, Lara, to share with us.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for the laughs and the memories. And they won't be the last. Before I'd get started, I'd like to say I agree with Spencer. He's looking down on all of us. And I'm fairly certain he's with his dad right now and our 4 past dogs going, "We gotta go crack open a big rock." That's what they're waiting to do. Kelly's love language was acts of service. I first witnessed this in 2000 when I met Kelly and we were penny pinching graduate students at North Carolina State University. He had access to unlimited food at the dining hall, and I was training for the Boston Marathon. He would come back from lunch many days during the week and leave a banana on my desk in the graduate student office with a little Post-it note saying, "From the Banana Fairy." It was great nourishment. The last weekend that I had with Kelly, it continued. He would always bring me my morning coffee, a coffee misto, so I could snuggle with Scout, and it always showed up with a smile. These acts of service are the bookends of what our 23 and a half years were like and how he loved me. In that time, we built a wonderful life in New Westminster, and we have been embraced, loved, and supported by this community. Hold on, I lost my spot. Okay. We supported each other through raising these 2 boys, who you just saw, the best of us. We supported them through their school transitions and their sports as we navigated our own career transitions, which you heard about. And I told many people over the years, he supported every harebrained idea that I had. And the deepest support that I received was when I was working full-time on my doctorate degree. He didn't question me, he didn't judge. He just stepped in and helped us run the house so that I could go to school. And he did that because he knew it was important to me. So you heard Noah and Mike mention the soccer connections. And I also want to share another story, because this is how humble Kelly was. For about 3 or 4 years, every September, he worked tirelessly in this community to make sure that refugee kids could play soccer. He ran around to their houses getting registrations. He got, many of you I think have donated, gave soccer boots for these kids. He organized carpools. That was his normal. And for me, I want to point out how this legacy is going to continue. I see it carry on in Noah, empowering positivity for youth with the trajectory he's on in university and his camp counselor work. That's amazing, Noah. Now, Kelly, he was active, y'all. And he loved family time sitting and watching sports, having a beer while I would sit and knit. So if it was the CFL, go Stampeders. Hockey night in Canada, go Flames go. Or the World Juniors. But his favorite player to watch on the ice was Spencer. And not only did he love watching Spencer play hockey, they were the best of buds on the ski hill, as you've heard a bit from Rob and others in exploring that terrain. I was a Kentucky snowplow. I couldn't do that. Some of mine and Kelly's more recent times were a little bit less adventuresome. So you heard we picked up pickleball with the Barnards, lots of board games, and they gave us some of our best laughs. And we were so excited because we were just on that cusp of the boys will launch and we've got our own holidays a-coming. And so the last one was back in February where we went skiing. We had our brand new gear and it was so fun. And he finally's like, "You've worked out that snowplow, Laura." But I'm also gonna tell y'all, sometimes on the ski hill, we epitomized why spouses make better cheerleaders than coaches. I'm going to the bottom. You can cuss out someone else. My most cherished memories of Kelly are from a year ago, where we went to the New Orleans Jazz Fest for our 20th wedding anniversary. It was epic. We came back, it was epic. It was amazing. So I gotta tell you a little bit about this. We parachuted into this community of folks, mostly women. Lainey, I know you're online. And they just wrapped us up in their love, and they included us in all of their fun. Cuisine, beverages, supplemental tasty desserts, all at planned and impromptu music experiences. And our friends down there nicknamed him the Rooster because he was with a bunch of women. So those of y'all that know Kelly, you can imagine how he was strutting around. Not only did our time there reinforce the importance of community, as you all are today, we also learned another valuable lesson, and that was the importance of body glitter. Lainey, I hope you can see it. When you wear body glitter, it's not for yourself. It's for everyone who sees that sparkle, and make them smile. Kelly was that sparkle. So as I wrap up my part here, I ask you to remember with me his smile, his warmth, his devotion, his laugh, and his deep love for his family, his friends, and his team. The boys and I will be receiving anybody that wants to come give us hugs after the service. And I ask, as you leave here today, that you reflect on ways that you'll move forward from today's service with the spirit of Kelly Duke, so that we can all ripple goodness and light out into this world. We need his spirit and his sparkle to keep burning, and I need your help to carry on his amazing legacy. Thank you.
Laura, thank you so much. So thank you deeply, everyone who has shared with us. Sharing this information while providing warm memories and insights is one of the most difficult things to do. And I trust that Kelly deeply appreciates it. And now the family has provided a slideshow of pictures of Kelly and family, so let's remember together. Kelly is deeply missed. And if it's any consolation to you, I believe that the relationships we have on this earth extend beyond our bodies alone. And in fact are an inextricable part of who we are, an inextricable part of life itself, and are therefore eternal as life itself. Let us now thank Kelly for being a part of our lives, for all the ways he has made your life greater. So further, let's take a moment now to remember what he brought to you. If you feel comfortable doing so, I invite you to please close your eyes for this minute of silence. And so now, if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. as you are ready, open your eyes. And for those of you who need more than a minute, I encourage you to take part in that again yourself. I recognize that many spiritual faiths and positions are represented here. In my part, I suggest we never think of Kelly as limited by time or by form, but as a wonderful expression of life itself, ever continuing, ever learning, and ever loving, though we cannot see him in his physical form. I invite us to forever hold Kelly in our hearts as well as our minds, cherishing all that he brought into our lives and wishing him peace, comfort, and love on his journey. And further, let us remember and embody Kelly's legacies that he has left, that we too continue in a loving and supportive foundation with each other in and beyond the grief of his loss. And let this also be a reminder to us all to cherish each day that we have with our family and our friends. So as we move toward the conclusion of this time and form of honoring Kelly together, on behalf of the family, know that there will not be a reception after the service today, but they do ask that you please gather afterward with your friends and family to make a personalized toast of your own to Kelly. A celebration of life will be planned this summer, and if you are interested in attending, please scan the QR code by the guest book or click on the link in the obituary to provide them your name and contact information. So before we move to the final piece of music chosen, I encourage you to share a personal memory of knowing Kelly with the family after the service or on the guest register. Please know that your memories of Kelly, as we've seen already, are of great value to the family at this painful time and moving forward. So directly after the closing song, the family will form a family line for sharing love and hugs to that side of the chapel. So just so that you know how it will work, is that we will have you come up this way and come around to the back and go and meet the family there, and then make your way out. We are hoping that that will help with the flow. But just to continue, all of you have a different personal perspective of Kelly, which is so helpful to the family in this time of difficult acceptance and healing. So if you have a memory of Kelly but are not able to stay after the service, please be sure, if you've not done so already, to share your memory in the guest register on your way out. And now again, on behalf of the family, thank you everyone for being here and remembering Kelly's life with them. The closing song is one that Kelly loved, by another Canadian musical artist, Sarah McLachlan, who he was delighted to meet at an event. Her song, I Will Remember You, is, I believe, a message from Kelly to each of you. As we move to the close of this time together, let's listen to its words. Blessings, everyone.
We've watch your life pass you by. For memories.
But that was the perfect thing to get the coach out with the fire up, the Star Wars dance, and the dance to Princess Leia. I think that one was his favorite, at least visually. I forget what song it was. There were a couple. Oh yeah, there was a few of them. That was one that we unlocked.
They're doing, yeah, they're doing trying their best. So it's been because I was yeah, like I said, even if she can hear because they would she's just determined. But also she's like, you know, that she my aunt passed away. Much better.
She's working at the hospital. She's got half time. Oh, awesome. So she's banking up her shifts and traveling around all over the November was Mexico climbing, and then December was Belize. January was Utah, and now 6 weeks in Wow. So you got a plane. Yeah. Does it all on a nickel too. Like their climbers are real thrifty, like a thrifty ethos to it. So hostels. Leftovers. Yep. Dirt bag. Yeah, it's really cool to see. I have a dog for children that we were going to go outside. My youngest just